Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on my channel. This is episode 8 of Road to 2200. This video will be a bit different from my other videos because So what happened is I recorded the video for my series Road to 2200 and I finished, and when I wanted to edit this video I realized that I forgot to turn my microphone on. So that video is not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly go over the game. Just quickly go over my game, quickly go over my thoughts. So this means that this video will be a bit shorter, but hopefully the content will be just as good. So let's get started. So I have the black pieces. White starts the game with pawn to e4. Of course, I respond with c5, knight f3, knight c6, pawn to d4. So white goes for the open Sicilian, takes, g6, I go for my dragon. And white plays this move bishop e2, which isn't necessarily a bad move. I mean, the main moves, of course, are either knight c3, bishop e3. Bishop e2 is not bad, it's just a bit passive. So I go knight f6, and after knight c3, bishop g7, bishop e3, I can punish white for not playing bishop c4. So the bishop usually belongs on c4. White goes bishop e2, which isn't bad, but it allows me to equalize with this move pawn to d5. So white takes. Of course, I take back with the knight. Knight takes, queen takes, bishop f3. So I saw bishop f3. I thought white was going to castle, but white goes bishop f3. And I go for this move queen a5. So queen a5 I think is the only real move. I mean, what else can I play? I can go queen d6, queen d7. I didn't like either of those moves. So I go queen a5. Of course, the whole point is that if the queen blocks, then just queen takes queen, bishop takes queen, and then bishop d4, and I'm up a piece. And if after queen a5 we get bishop d2, then I go queen e5. Threatening the knight, sorry. If bishop e3, I of course just win the knight. And if knight e2, I go for this move queen b2. I'm up a pawn, rook b8, queen a3, rook b1, queen a3. I think that's a comfortable position. So after bishop f3, queen a5, white goes for c3, which I think is the only move in this position. And I go knight e5, trying to punish this bishop, trying to punish white for playing bishop f3. The bishop slides back to e2. I castle, white castles. So we have this position here. Pretty equal, lots of trades, lots of liquidation. I think I'm slightly better, but it's not so easy. I mean, my idea here was to go rook d8, bishop e6, and try and just solidify and put my knight on this square on c4, with the idea perhaps later of going e5. This is kind of my idea. So of course I go rook d8, and white plays this move a4, which completely took me off guard. I was fully expecting a move like queen c2 followed by like rook fd, but white goes for this move a4. I didn't really know what white was intending, so I just waited with a6. I was thinking perhaps in the future, if I go queen c7, I don't want to allow knight b5 with tempo, right, attacking my queen. So let's just restrict this knight a little bit on d4. So after a6, white goes f4, which once again is a very, very weird move. a4 and f4 I did not expect at all. Just weakening this diagonal. I don't really know what white was doing here. Knight c6, takes, and now white goes for this move b4. And I think this is already a losing move. Okay, losing is a strong word. Maybe not losing, but black is definitely in the driver's seat. For the simple reason, I just take the queen, ba5, I take the rook, white takes the rook on a1, and then bishop c3. I fork. Okay, the rook moves, bishop takes, rook c6, bishop b7, and at the end of the day, I'm just a pawn up. The position is completely equal, but I'm just a pawn up. So yeah, there's not really much more to that. Rook c1, Now I go rook c8. Trying, of course, to go for the trade. The trade, of course, is always good for me. I'm a pawn up. Rook b1, and now I go rook c2. Trying to put pressure on this bishop. I was also looking, if the bishop ever moves, I also have ideas of rook g2, perhaps in the future, maybe. I was kind of looking at that a little bit. Yeah, so rook c2. White takes. This move I didn't expect. Rook takes b7. I was expecting the move king f2, to be honest. And after king f2, I would have gone bishop b4. Oh, my computer's so slow. Bishop b4, rook b8. Come on, let's go. Rook b8, king g7. And after bishop d5, I would have bishop d4. I would have gone f6. This is kind of what I was expecting. Maybe rook e8, bishop b4. Right, just solidifying this pawn. I'm going to go a5 in the future. This was kind of my plan. But yeah, none of that happens. Instead, after rook c2, white just takes the bishop on b7, which I'm very, very happy with. Of course, I take on e2. Okay, takes on e6, and this is now takes on e7, and this is now the losing mistake. Rook takes e7 is just not possible. Yeah, I think white really has to try to go for some rook b8, bishop d4 counterplay. Yeah, because if the king goes to h6, maybe there's some g4, g5 ideas. And if I go f6 at some point, then rook e8. Rook e8. Let me just put this down on the board. So instead of rook e7, which was played in the game, white should go rook b8, king g7, bishop d4, I think. If king h6, perhaps there's some chances of white checkmating the king. Of course, it's very unlikely, but this is the best I think white has. And if bishop d4, f6, then just rook e8. I don't think white has anything better. Rook e8. I mean, you're kind of behind this pawn. King f7, rook h8. It's uncomfortable, but taking this pawn here on e7 is just dead lost. This is just dead lost. I go bishop b6, and the bishop is lost. There's no way to win back the bishop, or the rook is lost. He takes on b6, I take on e7, and we have this position. So the material is, I mean, it's simple. I'm up an exchange. I have a rook for a bishop. So this is one of those positions where nothing's going to happen quickly. Nothing's going to happen quickly. It's about slowly improving your position. Slowly improving your position and making sure to not let the king in. This is your advantage with the rook. With the rook, you can cut the king off, either by a rank or a file. A bishop can't do that. A bishop only controls one color, in this case the dark squares. So what I can do is I can put all of my pawns and all of my pieces on light squares, and my king can just march on the light squares in the position. So let's see how I played. King f2, this is already not a good move. King f2 is already bad. I suppose white was scared of rook e2, cutting off the king, but white can always go h3, king h2 and get out this way. The problem with king f2 is that it just gives me rook e4, and in my book this is called a fork. So I just fork these two pawns. a5, this is the best move, I think. I mean, if a move like bishop c7, I take on a4, and this is very bad. I have the outside passer, that's easily winning for black. So king f2, rook e4, a5, I take this pawn, king d3, king e3, and very instructive move here. Rook b4. Okay, rook a4 would have been better, just staying on the light squares, but the idea here is to just cut this king off on the 4th rank. This is very important, because now the king can't ever try and get to this pawn. The king is just cut off. g3, f5, I do exactly what I said. Put all my pawns on light squares, and I'm going to slowly bring my king in. Okay, h3, king f7, king f3, king e6, g4, given this check, king g2, and I push. I already created a passed pawn. I could have taken takes, and maybe go like g5, h6, but I thought it's much better to just create a passed pawn. I think this gives me a bigger advantage, and I think that was the correct decision. So f4, bishop c7. I give him this check, of course king h2, otherwise the pawn on h3 falls. King h2, and now g5. Now just completely solidify the structure. Bishop d8, h6. This is locked. The only way which white can ever make progress is by finding a way to maneuver this bishop to f8, so like bishop b6, bishop c5, bishop f8, and attack this pawn chain. But the second white leaves this diagonal, I'm going to swing my rook over to a3 and pressure this pawn, trying to create a passed pawn. So already, positionally, it's lost. Bishop b6, bring my rook to c3. Okay, bit of maneuvering here and there. Now I bring my king, nice and slowly. King e4. h4,